This is our actual first time congregating officially or being together since most of us were together in Traverse City or remotely for the Advanced Coaching Institute. And we are just honored and so glad you're here. We want to give a shout out to the 60 plus new coaches who are new to the network. They may not be new to the coaching, but they are new to the Early Literacy Coaching Network. They got to spend a little bit of time with Dr. Wright this morning for a Q&A session. So we're just really glad that you're able to share this experience, and we're looking forward to an absolutely lovely day. So as I mentioned, the last time we were together, either face-to-face or virtually, was when we were in Traverse City for 4 days for the Advanced Coaching Institute this summer. And Teddy Simmons helped us put together an evaluation for the event. And we wanted to share some of that feedback for you today. One of the things that Teddy was able to do with a Google Forms feature was create a Wordle. So that's kind of what you're seeing, hopefully seeing on the screen today, is the Wordle. And this Wordle is made up of all of the constructed responses or the free responses that you were able to kind of type in and share some of your learning. So I want to just take a moment to focus on that. The larger the word is, so you notice coaching is really, really big, the more people mention that in their response. So I know it's kind of light here, but if you can just take a look, and this does a really nice job of capturing what stood out for people during the 4 days. And I'm hoping you have the same feeling that our team had, was just feeling really fulfilled by the way that you took in the information that was offered that week, that the things that we were really trying to focus on during that week did stand out through this Wordle. And so thank you so much for your thoughtful comments. We pour over those responses in great detail, and hopefully as you do some learning throughout the day, you'll see that we made every effort to be very intentional with your feedback and incorporate that through the day. So again, thank you so much for being invested in completing the survey, and you'll have an opportunity at the end of the day today to do another feedback form. So one of the ways that we kicked off together and came around our work together in August was around our mission and vision. If you're new to the network, I just want to invite you to take a close look at this. Many of us have seen it before, but this mission and vision was really created by a committed group of 40 to 50 coaches in the network over the course of a couple of years. It was a long process. It was facilitated by Dr. Yolanda Sealy-Ruiz. And it does a really nice job capturing what our intentions are, what our purpose is in the network, everything from the actions that we do to how we want to show up. So what I'm hoping that you'll do today, before we officially launch into the logistics and get into the content, is that you'll have an opportunity to take some control over your learning today and how you want to show up in this space, how you want to interact with others, that you'll ground yourself in this mission and vision by taking a moment to read through, and then do yourself the honor, what you deserve, and set some intentions for today. So when you're looking through this, you might write down a couple of words or store those words in your head that you want to hold close to as you move through the learning today. Maybe you want to pay attention to your language, how you use the chat, how you interact with others in groups. Or maybe there's a particular part of the mission and vision that you truly want to enact through things like the first bullet, participating in your own reflection, or thinking about how you want to support literacy practices through the research that you learned. So we'll just take about 30 seconds here. Again, grounding yourself and setting your intentions through the day. You just want to use this mission and vision, or maybe anything else that you have kind of centering yourself today, to set intention for the day. We hope that this practice of intention setting really grounds you in your learning, helps you stay aligned to what we know about adult learning practices, maybe even gives you a little bit of joy as you set out to meet those intentions. So thank you all so much for participating in that process. And now you'll get the chance to have a little bit of an overview of what the day looks like. And we will get into the nitty-gritty of the agenda. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Lisa. Good morning. My name is Erin Brown. I have the privilege of working at MAISA and MAISD, Muskegon Area ISD. And we are excited to be here together. In a dream world, we'd all be in the same space or in a couple different spaces, connected over the airwaves. But this is working. And so many of you are in your own ISD or at a building gathered together in community as kind of like a local ISD team or county team. That's awesome. You are going to manage this day how it makes sense to you. There are coaching coordinators that we're so grateful for that are supporting really your sense of community and your conversation. So throughout this morning, there are a couple times when we have breakouts, and that is just to really bring conversation with other coaches to our space. When that happens, those of you who are in your own room, your own building together, sitting by each other, you will ignore what we do in the Zoom. You will pause and you will get to turn and talk and look in each other's eyes and have a meaningful conversation for that time. Of course, it does ask that the coaching coordinators are kind of tracking with what we're putting in the chat as far as when we're coming back. But before we go on to those breakouts, we'll say how many minutes they are so you can kind of plan for that and to come back together. But for those who are connecting from your own spaces here in the Zoom, there are times when we will go into breakouts, and to not tax this one Zoom space and to allow for swift but focused conversations when it is time for breakouts, like when Dr. Wright is nearing the end of her presentation and she's going to encourage us to get into a conversation. We're going to put a document in the chat at that time. And at that time, you'll click on that document. You'll go to a specific Zoom link based on your name, and you'll go in there and be put into a space. So it really doesn't add even a minute extra to the Zoom management. It just requires that you're clicking in the chat on that document and going to a different Zoom account. And we know that we can manage those kinds of things, but this is all in your agenda as well. So you'll probably have a tab where you keep that agenda handy throughout the day. And know that even if you're not tracking with it, that the resources that are shared, if they aren't already in the agenda, they will be put at the row for that time, but in that farthest column that names resources. So that includes presentation slides, that includes the recording of any of these sessions, so that you have things anytime, anywhere. At about 11:20, we're going to talk about the afternoon and how that's going to flow. But for the morning, we're pretty much together here learning in this main Zoom space, other than those breakout opportunities. We do have lunch at 12. When we come back at 12:45, we're in our local conversations. So those coaching coordinators who are facilitating and supporting all the coaches at your ISD, they might be going to the link at 12:45 and looking at that team time link and either ignoring it if you're in your own space, because you'll just be in that conversation in your own room. Or if you are virtual today, you might be putting a virtual link for you to be able to get into conversation there after lunch. That's 12:45 to 1:15. So I'm only naming that now to kind of give that heads up to coaching coordinators if you have yet to indicate how your colleagues will be talking with you at that time. We're really excited about the continuity of today as it relates to August, as it relates to last May, not just around the instructional practice updates, but also around connections across practices and not just documents. The practices are important, but they're only as important as the ways that we bring them alive and learn how they support the context that we lead in, that we coach in. So there's really an integrated focus on this day and on this work this year, and it's really exciting. So we have people to thank for that. Not only the amazing MAISA team and all of our partners that inform and support this work, but also the Cultivating Genius Facilitator Group, who began to lead us and really drive us and support us over time. They stepped into a space of leadership during the pandemic, and we've been so grateful because they truly can look across all the work and say, where are those threads of importance that we can hang on to? So thank you to the Cultivating Genius Leadership Group and for your real insight into how to design high quality work. So with that, Lisa, I'll turn it back to you or Melissa to get us going.
Thanks, Erin.